Hello and welcome to day 20 of my 31 Days of Horror. I'm Joey Hollywood, and the movie I watched today was Fright Night, Part 2. Now before I get started on this movie, I'd just like to tell you guys that my DVD for movie night is now available for purchase on my site. It's available while supplies last, so snatch it up as quick as you can. I particularly do not like the words over and underrated. I find them to be misused more often than not. Just because a movie gets a lot of praise and you don't like it does not mean it's overrated. Now, however, I would like to say that I believe that Fright Night Part 2 is underrated. Merely for this one reason and this reason alone. Because it is difficult to get a hold of, and not many people know it exists. If this movie had a proper release, maybe I wouldn't think it would be underrated. I think that this movie is either just as good or better as its predecessor. And unfortunately, it's never had a proper release. That dates back all the way to the time it was in theaters. The only DVD version available is a pan and scan VHS rip. And that was discontinued years ago. Matter of fact, the only way you can really watch this movie is the way I did, and that's on YouTube. And don't ask me to link you to it because I don't want them to take it off of YouTube because that's the only way people can watch it right now. I don't normally agree with pirating, but this is the only way you can see the movie. Like I said, I think this movie is just as good or superior to the original. I do think there's some problems with it, like Charlie Brewster thinking that the entire events of the first movie is just a hallucination, despite the fact that he seems fine at the end of the first movie. I also don't like that they introduced a new girlfriend. Especially after all the trouble that Charlie and Amy had in the first movie, you think they would have stayed together. Apparently there's a comic book that explains this, that she went missing, but they never acknowledge that in the movie, and it just seems like, oh, he's got a new girlfriend, and he doesn't believe in vampires anymore. Okay. But besides that, I think the movie's great. It focuses a lot more on Rodney McDowall's character, which is the highlight of the first movie, so I think you can see why I like this one so much. There's a lot of cool practical effects in this one. It's overall a lot of fun, and I don't want to talk about the plot too much because I want you to seek it out for yourself and experience it. And I really wish there would have been a third movie, a Fright Night Part 3, which they actually intended to do. Rodney McDowall loved playing Peter Vincent, and he actually called a meeting to discuss the possibility of a third and final Fright Night film. Unfortunately, someone who is heavily involved in these movies was murdered by his own kid, which threw a monkey wrench into the release of Fright Night Part 2 and ended any possibility of a third installment. I wish there was a third movie because I'd like to see further adventures of Charlie and Peter Vincent battling vampires. And it's because of this I really think that Fright Night is perfect for a TV show adaptation. Just have a bunch of adventures of Peter Vincent and Charlie Brewster fighting vampires and werewolves and creatures of the night. I think it's a great premise for a show, and I hope they do it. Please check out my Manos Remake Facebook page. I'm trying to make my own movie, and I need your support. We'll be launching an Indiegogo on February 1st of 2015 with a goal of $30,000, so keep an eye out and like the page. Thank you for watching. Please remember to rate, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you tomorrow in day 21 of my 31 Days of Horror.